This video is brought to you by my generous backers over on Patreon. If you'd like to support the channel and get cool perks like access to the Discord, seeing the videos a week before anyone else, or exclusive Patreon-only gameplays, plus a myriad of other perks, then check out my Patreon. The link's in the description below. Ayara, first of Locthwain, versus Karametra, God of Harvests, Kruphix, God of Horizons, and Queen Marchesa. As usual, when we've got a one-lander in our opening hand, I'm going to mulligan that one. And we get into a lot more mana this time. So we will keep that one. And we don't have to put anything on the bottom, because in multiplayer we get a free mulligan. Okay, we are second in the turn order. We draw into Grim Haruspex. Let's just play out a land and pass. There is nothing we can play this turn. But there is something Queen Marchesa can do though. That's a Soul Ring on turn 1. Means that they can potentially get down their commander on turn 3. Then it's just a basic island for Kruphix and a Skull Clamp for Karametra. With nothing to equip the Skull Clamp to. Don't know if I'd run that out whilst we can't make use of the Skull Clamp. Then again, our opponent might be worried about discard from two of the players at the table. We get another land, so let's just drop the Blood Artist. I don't imagine anyone will point spot removal at that. And as more and more creatures are put into play, the Blood Artist will become more potent once a board wipe hits. Now it is a Stormfist Crusader from our opponent. That's a card I've been interested in since it was printed. I was actually thinking of putting that in Sir Gwyn. Kruphix just playing out a land and tapping out again. Surprised to see no early ramp from Kruphix. And then Karametra going in for their Mentor of the Meek, so still not making use of Skull Clamp. We get into another land, so I think it's time to get down our commander. Ayara, first of Locthwain. And she will drain all of our opponents when she enters. Obviously not going to swing in with a 0 power creature. And now Stormfist Crusader triggers at the beginning of Marchesa's upkeep, so we'll all draw. We get into a Mana Rock, followed by a City of Brass into Vona. Yeah, that's a creature worth keeping an eye on. We don't have any spot removal yet, unfortunately. Kruphix going for their first spell of the game. That is a Star Compass. I'm assuming that they just drew into that this turn because they could have cast it last turn and they didn't. Now a Lotus Cobra from Karametra. Let the ramp begin. You can gain a lot of mana with a Lotus Cobra. And that does trigger Mentor of the Meek, which it looks like they're paying into. So that draws them a card. Then they play a tap land, which gains them a mana. And they use that mana to put the Skull Clamp onto their Mentor of the Meek, which is more card draw on a board wipe. And speaking of card draw, we get into Night's Whisper. Let's just get down the Arcane Signet first. And then I think we're going to go for the Grim Haruspex. And that means that whenever we sacrifice to Ayara, one of our non-token creatures will actually draw 2 cards. Again, the Stormfist Crusader triggers at the beginning of Queen Marchesa's turn, keeping us in lots of cards. We get into another basic swamp. Really don't mind seeing basic swamps in a mono black deck, thanks to things like Cabal Stronghold and Cabal Coffers. Bubbling Muck, things like that. Oh, and our opponent plays a Chroma's Memorial, which, with a Vona in play, I really don't like the look of. It's not likely we're going to deal with it in a mono black deck either. Plus the fact that they've got protection from black now, along with a bunch of other keywords. They come swinging in at us, taking advantage of the evasion. Now let's see if Kruphix actually wants to do anything this turn. They've got a Rogue's Passage for their commander later on. And just deciding to play their commander. Karametra making a land so that the Lotus Cobra will trigger. And the second god in a row comes down, Karametra, god of harvests. Alright, there's a plague vermin for us. We have less life than all of our opponents. Yeah, and we don't have the mana to cast it anyway. With Plague of Vermin, as you've seen in a previous game, if we have more life than all of our opponents, and we've got Ayara in play, we can just go for Plague of Vermin and win the game on the spot. So I think in order to gain some life and draw some cards, we'll go for Alhamret's Archive. And this will be a big life point swing. It will put our opponent's life down, but it'll put our life up even more than it would have done already. So we'll just do some setting up ready for this Plague of Vermin. Might be that we have to sacrifice the Grim Harry Specs for some card draw, so we might as well swing in with that. This time drawing Ravenous Chupacabra thanks to Queen Marchesa. And they get bolted by Mana Crypt, so they are now on the same life total as us. Oh, but they're going for Demonic Tutor. Followed by a Sword of Feast and Famine. Yeah, that's probably what they went for. They've already got protection from black, but they're using this as a ramp spell, I imagine. Don't particularly mind discarding a card with our current hand. And Queen Marchesa continuing to look our way, swinging in with both creatures. With protection from black, there's nothing we're going to do about that. We will have to discard a card. We'll just get rid of a swamp in the hope that we draw into more. Tapping out 5 mana. Oh, and a Vandal Blast. It doesn't take our mana down as much as it would in other decks at least, but losing that Alhamret's Archive I don't really like. Skull Clamp and the Star Compass go down. Yeah, they get rid of Skull Clamp and Alhamret's Archive. I think I might have waited on that Vandal Blast, to be honest, but then again, our opponent doesn't know how much card draw we could possibly get with Alhamret's Archive. If they're doing nothing else, they might as well go for it now. And the Celestia player does not like the idea of a Vandal Blast, so they're going to punish our opponent with a Swords to Plowshares onto Vona, which is a really good sight to see for us, because we really don't want Vona to be running around all over the place. They could respond to this with the Vona, and they are doing, but I think they're targeting Karametra with that. That is indestructible, so that can't be destroyed. Yeah, they would have been better suited going for something else there. But at least it's not pointed at our stuff. So Vona goes down, the sword falls off, and we lose all of our artifacts. Karametra is still at 7 cards in hand, so they didn't necessarily need the clamp, but that's exactly why you don't play it if you're not going to make use of it, because it gets wrapped up in things like that. Now let's see what Kruphix has got lined up. It is a Rhystic Study. They've got 8 cards in hand. I think the last thing they need is a Rhystic Study, but maybe they don't like any of the cards in hand. And they tap out and just float the colourless mana with their commander. Now over to Karametra. And Karametra goes straight in for a Cleansing Nova, which is destroy all artifacts and enchantments, which pretty much only hurts the Queen Marchesa player. It immediately gets rid of that Rhystic Study, which is excellent. Rhystic Study usually sticks around for a long, long time and draws the player a heap of cards because no one pays into it. But the Karametra player does pay into this one. And then they go for an Avacyn's Pilgrim. That will allow them to search for a forest or plains and put it straight into play. So we're all on a much more even playing field here. Problem is, our life total is now way lower than everyone else's. Okay, another land for us. And like I said, we're at a pretty low life total now, which means we're nowhere near Plague of Vermin, so we need to try and gain some life here. Luckily the board isn't anywhere near as frightening thanks to the board wipes. So we'll go in for Knight's Whisper first of all and see if we can get into any ramp. Ashnod's Altar might come in handy. but I think we just go Chittering Witch. That will get us 4 creatures, which will drain our opponents 4 times. And then we can gain even more life with the Ashnod's Altar and the Blood Artist, assuming that they stick around until next turn. And with the mana from Ashnod's Altar, we might actually be able to go for Plague of Vermin, so I think that's our game plan. We may be able to win next turn. Ayara triggers 4 times. We go up to 27, and most of our opponents are still at a higher life total than us. Then we'll swing in at Kruphix again with the Grim Haruspex. They are the only player that's open. And again, we might have to sacrifice Grim Haruspex, so we'll just tap it down. Might as well get some free damage in. Stormfist Crusader is going to have us lose a life and draw again. And we get into Castle Locthwain. We are nowhere close to wanting to activate that. We'll lose way too much life. And now it's a Damnation. That slows us down. Does gain us a bunch of life though. So in response to that, we'll go for Ayara, and we'll go on to the Chittering Witch. That way we draw 2 cards, thanks to the Grim Haruspex. And we'll obviously drain our opponent with the Blood Artist. We draw into a Damnation of our own, and a Blood-Soaked Champion. Gain a bunch of life with Blood Artist, and draw a card with Grim Haruspex. Now, Blood Artist is triggered, so we'll aim these at the Queen Marchesa player. We'll throw some towards the Celestia player as well, but we want to basically keep everyone's life total below ours, which it will be after all this. We go up to 36, everyone else is around the 25 mark, so we're quite comfortably above everyone else here. Now on to Kruphix's turn. They are yet to really do anything this game. They've got their colours and they've got mana, but they haven't really done much of anything. They are tapping down all their mana, so they're going for something big here. That is 8 mana, including Simic colours. Okay, and then after that they just decide to scoop. How strange. So they had a full grip of cards, 8 mana available to them. Their commander in play. They never really did anything that game, like I said, so yeah, that's a really weird Kruphix player over there. Over to the remaining God player, and they go for a Primordial Sage, which will be some more card draw for them. They've still got a grip of 6 in hand, and they obviously get a Forest or a Plains with that, as will they with a Llanowar Elves. They'll draw a card from casting a creature. Alright, now then, Ancient Tomb. We can't make as much use out of Ashnod's Altar as we wanted to, so it might just have to be Ayara. And we'll try and keep our life total up. And go in for Plague of Vermin next turn. We should still have a higher life total than everyone else, even after the Primordial Sage swings in at us. Let's go for the Ashnod's Altar, just in case we can make use of it later with a Grave Titan. And then at the end of the turn, we'll just get rid of Castle Locthwain. And a Swamp as well. Just Queen Marchesa coming down for the Mardu player. Oh, and I didn't notice that Mana Vault came down for Karametra last turn. So, yeah, they must have played that last turn. Even more mana for them, like they need it. Then playing a Mirari's Wake, speaking of more mana that they don't need. There is a mana doubler. That animates the Karametra. Oh, and now they play an Aura Shards as well. Luckily we don't need the Ashnod's Altar to win, as long as our life total stays up, which it might not do with Karametra in play. Then they play Nissa, Vastwood Seer, for some more card draw, some more ramp. And they've still got 6 mana after this. Then they play the land that they got with Nissa. That flips her over, and Karametra is really going off here. They draw into something other than a land with Nissa. Now going in for Guardian Project for even more card draw. Still 6 cards in hand after all that. They've got 5 mana available, including the Llanowar Elves. And now casting another creature, that is a Farhaven Elf, even more ramp. They get 2 lands, one from the Farhaven Elf, one from their commander. And of course they draw a card from the Sage. They will draw one from Guardian Project when it enters as well. There's no more artifacts and enchantments to blow up because they went after our Ashnod's Altar already. So it's now or never by the looks of it. We might be able to rely on Queen Marchesa to wipe out the enchantments, but we're certainly not going to do it. And luckily for us, Karametra is going in at... Yeah, Karametra's going in at Queen Marchesa, and we are getting the Primordial Sage, so that will still have us at a higher life total than our opponent. Now Queen Marchesa is going in for tapping a City of Brass, which will lose them even more life. Path goes on to the Karametra, and they'll get another land, which is pretty much no harm done at this point. Karametra has done what she does best, and has ramped like crazy. We can afford to just take the hit here, because we'll be left at 30 life. And we draw into Zulaport Cutthroat, yeah. We can just go straight in for the victory here. Everyone is mostly tapped out, so we'll go straight in for the Plague of Vermin. And all we do here is pay all but one of our life into it. And in this instance we will get 27 rats, draining both of our opponents for 27. And that's exactly why you need your life total to be higher than your opponent's, because you need to put more life into Plague of Vermin than any of your opponents. You need to have your commander in play as well, but it is a pretty easy to assemble 2-card combo as long as you can keep your life up. So we just go for... well, we'll just go for 24 here, that's all we need. Usually you'd go for all but one of your life. And there we go, our opponents decide to scoop it up. Say good game to them. Yeah, I would like to get a win off with Ayara that doesn't rely on the Plague of Vermin, but the Karametra player was going off there and I don't know how we would have dealt with them. We could have wiped the board, but we still would have had double mana and lots of card draw and aura shards to deal with, so I think comboing off there was an alright decision to make, and obviously it won us the game. Hopefully you all enjoyed this one. Be sure to leave it a thumbs up and a comment if you want to see more of Ayara, and I hope to see you all in the next game. I'm tribalkai on the EDH channel. Thank you for watching.